From a character erased without warning to a lead actress who rewrote the words she was paid to say. Hi, I'm Cartor Raay, starting with Percy Hynes White, whose exit from Wednesday became the most talked about absence in Netflix history. In January 2023, an anonymous X account posted a thread accusing Percy of hosting parties in Toronto where alcohol and substances were provided to underage girls. The thread also claimed he assaulted a girl at one of those parties. Other anonymous accounts followed with similar accusations, and the posts spread across platforms before eventually being deleted. There was no police report, and no one made a public accusation under their name. Still, the hashtag #CancelPercy began trending, and calls to remove him from Wednesday quickly gained momentum. Percy disabled comments on his Instagram. Then in June 2023, he posted a written statement, and it is clearly written by someone who was angry. He called it a campaign of misinformation, said the rumors were false, that they'd misused underage photos of him and clips of him acting in character. He also said his family had been doxxed, friends were getting death threats, and one friend in particular had been wrongly labeled a victim in online threads, something he firmly pushed back on. I'm not saying he's guilty, but I'm also not pretending the timing is a coincidence. He denied everything and no charges were ever filed. People ended this man's career over anonymous posts. No criminal charges have been reported as of early 2026. The allegations remain unverified social media accusations, which Percy has explicitly denied. But in May 2024, it was confirmed Percy Hynes White would not return as a series regular for Wednesday Season 2 alongside Naomi J. Ogawa and Jamie McShane. Netflix said nothing. MGM remained silent as well, and an official explanation never came. Instead, the sequence of events told its own story. Allegations surfaced in January 2023. His denial followed in June 2023, and his departure was confirmed in May 2024. By the time Season 2 arrived, Xavier Thorpe's empty chair had become one of the show's most discussed absences, and even now, the reason behind it has yet to be clarified. But while Percy lost his place in silence, Jenna Ortega made headlines by saying exactly what she thought. In March 2023, Jenna sat down with Dax Shepard on the Armchair Expert podcast. She said a lot of Wednesday's Season 1 lines didn't make sense for the character, so she changed it. Sometimes she cut lines, sometimes she rewrote them on the spot and didn't always clear those changes beforehand. Looking back, she admitted she had almost become unprofessional at times. She's literally the only reason that show works. If she had to fix the lines, she was right to do it. Actors don't get to rewrite dialogue they don't like. Those are someone's words. But what made the timing dangerous wasn't the comment itself, it was the date. Her interview dropped in March 2023. The WGA writers' strike began in May 2023. And suddenly, a lead actress talking about changing dialogue on set wasn't just a creative conversation, it was political. Writers showed up to picket lines with signs. One sign read, "Without writers, Jenna Ortega will have nothing to punch up." A BoJack Horseman writer tweeted that she'd better be back from New York for her afternoon picket shift. The Bear's Karen Joseph Adcock replied, "Rewriting is writing. See you at the line, Jenna," framed as light roasting. But for Jenna, it didn't feel light at all. By 2024, she was walking it back. She said she could have used her words better and felt bad if any writers felt disrespected. What she had meant to talk about was improvisation and collaboration, not acting like she was above the process. She even called the whole experience almost dystopian. And then there was the other thing. She filmed the iconic Episode 4 dance, the scene that made Wednesday a cultural moment while awaiting a COVID test result that came back positive. She described feeling like she'd been hit by a car, with a little goblin scratching inside her throat the entire time. MGM said strict COVID protocols were followed and that she was removed from set the moment the result was confirmed. But for weeks after the interview resurfaced, fans weren't asking about the dance. They were asking about everyone else in that room. While Jenna's controversies came from her own words, Christina Ricci's came from a courtroom. By the time Wednesday premiered in October 2022, Christina was already 2 years deep into one of the most painful legal battles of her life. In July 2020, she filed for divorce from her husband, James Heerdigan. 6 months later, in January 2021, she obtained a domestic violence restraining order against him. The court documents described years of severe physical and emotional abuse, incidents in front of their young son, being dragged, being slammed into a fire pit. The judge ordered Hierdagen to stay 100 yards away from Ricci, their child, and the family dog. Hierdagen denied everything. He filed his own restraining order, pointing to alleged alcohol and substance use on her part. A judge declined to grant it. Her order stayed in place. When Wednesday premiered and profiles started popping up, journalists kept revisiting her child star past, her parents' divorce, and the allegations. And as Hollywood's own reckoning intensified through the Depp Heard trial and later the Blake Lively-Justin Baldoni case, Christina kept speaking publicly about all of it. She spoke out in support of Amber Heard and later Blake Lively, writing about how talented women are often set against each other and why that pattern never seems to end. Some praised her for it, while Depp-aligned fan communities responded with harsh backlash that never let up. She survived the hardest version of her own story, and she had no interest in staying quiet about it. But if Christina fought a battle nobody volunteers for, Gwendoline Christie started one entirely on her own terms. In 2019, HBO did not submit Gwendoline Christie for Emmy consideration for Game of Thrones' final season, so she submitted herself. She paid the fee herself, filed her own paperwork, and was nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama. She made sure it wasn't inappropriate, wanted to control her own story, and did it as a testament to Brienne of Tarth. Afterward, everyone seemed more focused on what it said about HBO than about her. She deserved that nomination and she knew it. Good for her for going and getting it herself. Maybe HBO should have thought about that before leaving her off the list. And then Wednesday happened and a different conversation started. In press for Wednesday, Gwendoline Christie spoke openly about years of bullying over her height and appearance. She talked about feeling beautiful on screen for the first time thanks to how Larissa Weems was styled and filmed, and about the cost of working in an industry that never knew how to handle her body. It wasn't a controversy against her, but it lit up a conversation about Hollywood beauty standards, about how tall women get typecast into roles that treat their size as a punchline, and about what it means when a woman in her 40s says this is the first time she's felt seen on a screen. Gwendoline didn't cause a scandal, she refused to wait for permission, and that alone was enough to get people talking. But if Gwendoline's story was about demanding to be seen, Emma Myers faced backlash for being seen saying the wrong 4 words. In September 2025, during an MTV UK press interview, Emma was asked about the Wednesday Season 2 body swap scene, the one where Wednesday, inhabiting Enid's personality, dances to Blackpink's Boom Baya. The moment went viral as soon as the season dropped. K-pop fans loved it, and blinks were everywhere in the comments. And then Emma spoke. She said she'd forgotten they were even using that song, had no say in the editing, and thought it was a fun dance track for Enid, but blinks only caught the first part. Forgot they were doing that song became the headline, while the part where she praised it disappeared. Hashtags went up accusing her of disrespecting the group. Commentary videos broke down her tone, her phrasing, the precise number of seconds she took before answering. She forgot they were doing that song. She clearly doesn't even like Blackpink. She literally called it a great choice right after. Why are we only quoting half the sentence? Emma has long been a Public 17 fan, a carrot, but some people immediately twisted that into proof she was dismissive of other girl groups, as if loving one band meant she had to show excitement for every other act on the planet. She never apologized because there was nothing to apologize for, but the backlash followed her through the rest of the promotion cycle anyway, and in that same press run, she drew a different kind of line, one that had nothing to do with K-pop. Fans had spent years shipping Wednesday and Enid as a queer couple. Winclair had its own corner of the internet, fan art, edits, entire accounts built around the relationship. Emma had always been fine with it. Ship the characters. That's fiction, that's yours, do what you want with it. But she made one thing clear. What I do say is, leave the real people out of it. She got praise for setting that boundary, but the show itself came under fire. Accused of queer baiting, teasing a romance that never fully happens, and building a fan base without delivering. Emma didn't write the scripts, yet she was the one in every interview, having to answer for them. And finally, there's Hunter Doohan, whose absence from a single premiere turned into the most absurd rumor cycle of the entire year. In July 2025, Hunter missed the Wednesday Season 2 London premiere. That's the whole incident, but the internet needed a reason. Within hours, TikTok was full of theories and fan accounts were posting detailed timelines. By the end of the week, 2 stories dominated. One claimed Jenna Ortega had somehow banned him from attending. The other said his husband, Fielder Jewett, was so jealous of their on-screen chemistry industry that he wouldn't let Hunter fly to London. He literally wasn't there because his husband said no. That's the only explanation that makes sense to me. Hunter let it go for weeks. Then in September 2025, on a podcast, he finally addressed it directly, and he wasn't polite about it. He called the rumors absurd and asked fans, using language his team later had to clarify in print, to be so f***ing for real right now. What stuck with him wasn't the rumor itself, but the cost of setting the record straight. He said it made him want to share less of his personal life. Because when false stories spread that quickly and confidently, being open starts to feel like a risk.